What was I doing there? I was doing something that's very special to me, something that I love to do. I was practicing. I was practicing. So what was I practicing? I was working on this transcription. It's a Greg Hutchinson solo off this song called Mental Phrasing from Roy Hargrove. And I've been working on this solo a lot. And it's got me thinking about what the heck are we doing when we're practicing? What am I doing when I'm practicing? What am I trying to gather from it? And it might not be what you think, you know? Because at first, like, I got this solo, right? I was listening to Roy Hargrove or something, and I heard the solo, and I'm like, I gotta learn this. There's so much happening. I was so attracted to, like, this kind of language. Like, this kind of, like, morphe, like, subdivision and stuff like that, that I was like, I gotta learn this, okay? So I transcribed it. I wrote it all out before. I don't always do that. Sometimes I memorize it by ear. But this one, I wrote it all out before. There's a lot there. It's pretty choppy. I wanted to figure it out, right? So I got it. And every day I would sit down and I would kind of plunk through it. I would look at it. I would listen to it. I would just like play through parts and try to figure out like what the heck is the coordination of, right? Like that part. Like, or, you know, like how do I want to articulate that, you know? And I just would go over it over and over again. And I played through the whole thing really slow. Right? Just trying to get every note right. And then eventually I'm like, I need to be able to play this whole thing without thinking. And I memorized it. And how did I memorize it? I kept trying to like look away from the page and just play it. And then I was like, what am I doing here? And then I just like listened to it on the bus coming to my studio every day. And all of a sudden it took me one day. Really. Like I just listened to it 10 times in a row and it was in my head because I had it programmed in my head, right? So all that's been happening. And the moment I got to that point, I was like, this is beautiful. Like once it was part of me like that, it feels so good. It feels so good to have it in you and know that it's not coming from anywhere but your hands, your ears, your mind, you know. And that was really cool. But I couldn't play it cleanly, perfectly at the tempo that I wanted to play. And so I'm working on this and I'm like, there's just certain parts that will stick out to me. And really, this is kind of how practicing is at this point. Because I chose that solo, the solo doesn't end up being the point. It's like the things that I'm picking up as I'm working on it. Let me show you what I mean, okay? So I'm gonna play a little bit of it, and then I'll stop at the point that always gets me. There you go, that's the part. That's the part that always gets me. Now, this is the phrase. This triplet thing. Yeah, and that's what's interesting about it is that there's this bass drum double at the end and it kind of all stops. It all grounds to a halt. You hear that? So that bass drum double is the tricky part. Now here's the interesting thing. It's like the whole solo I'm playing those bass drum doubles. They're in there. I can play them. This one though, it always gets me for some reason. And I was practicing it and I was like, what's going on here? And I can even play it like that. But what I realized is there's a couple things going on. One is that it's what comes after it that makes my brain go funny, right? So if I was gonna play my hands like ghost them so that you can really hear my bass drum, right? So, bum, 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 bum. Right? Bum, bum, bum. It's like there's a quarter note after the double. And that's really what ends up making it like a weird coordination thing. Because it's really easy to want to, like when you hear the phrase, it's like it feels like it goes like this. Right? It like sucks in on that note. But your motion can't necessarily do that because, you know, it's got to play another quarter note right after that. If you stop it, like I'll dramatize it and play it on the snare. You know, if you stopped it, right, then it's going to be very hard to play fast. It's easier if you just let it bounce back up. And so this is what I do with this thing, is I play through it and I'm like, oh man, that sounds weird. Okay, let me work that out. What's going on there? And what I'm doing, you can't see my foot, but what I'm doing is I'm watching my foot and I'm saying, is it bouncing like I want it to, or is it getting stuck there? And I'm being curious about that. But at the same time, I'm like, man, I want that more intense sound. Like, what can I do? Like, oh, maybe I can, like I'm doing it heel down. What if I did a heel up? Oh, I could bury the beater. That's kind of cool. And I can get that bury the beater sound, and then my leg can maybe do the quarter notes. Right? And even just then, this is how my brain is working when I'm practicing. It's like, I played that really fast, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of sloppy. I don't really like that. Oh, now when I did that, it's like I left the bass drum head open. Like I didn't bury the beater. Let me see if I can do it smooth like that, but bury it. Okay, and then that bass drum is a little too loud. So let me try it without burying the beater. And then that's when I'm going, you know what, maybe I should work on heel up, right? You know, and so all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, I can control it with my heel down. Probably when I play it, I'm gonna execute it like that. But now I'm curious, I'm like, what about, can I get that sound really smooth? Right? Let me over-exaggerate it. What if I played it really loud? What would that feel like? Okay, what if I do the opposite? It's better, but I hear a little bit of buzz. I want to get that smoother. So what I like about it is I'm really doing the double with, since I'm doing it heel up, I'm doing the double like with my ankle, and then I can play the quarter notes with my foot. Not my foot, but my leg rather. So I'm noticing that, and I actually was able to get a smoother sound. I liked the sound. I'm not consistent with it yet though, so. Something I was just noticing too while I was doing that is like I was dead sticking my left hand for some reason, so I wanted to make sure that I was doing a nice big open stroke. Usually when I do that, I don't dead stick it so much. I'm liking how that sounds. Now, can I do that in context? I don't know. So let's see if I can get there. No, not yet. I got to remember where it is. That's where it is. So. And that becomes new coordination, because really what I have to do there is make sure that I lift my leg for that first bass drum. And then it kicks off the rest of the phrase. Because I wasn't playing that note before. I was just going to this. That's why the coordination feels funny. Interesting. So. And the double feels different because it's different. I'm starting in a different place. The muscle memory. I got to be patient with it. Woo, there it is. I didn't like how that double felt. It didn't feel like I was getting the whole pedal, and I'm gonna have to get more comfortable with that. See how that bass really stuck out? Boom, right? So. So it's got to feel a little lighter. It's like heavy, heavy, light for me to get that double. There you go. You see how it came out smooth that time? Little too light. Nope, trying to go too fast, gotta be patient. I'm really liking that bass drum sound, and for me, something I'm working on is, like, I want to be able to play heel up and get a nice touch where it's not, explosive. So I love that I'm working on this. Now, why am I showing you all this? This is what practice is, And here's the thing. Am I ever going to play this solo live for people? No. Am I even going to play this lick all the time? Maybe. It probably will get into my playing. I think I've played that stuff recently. But I don't care. Because I'm not practicing to perform this. I'm practicing for all the stuff you heard me saying while I was in that process of like, that touch is too hard. Oh, I gotta be lighter. I gotta be heavier. Boom, boom, boom. Slower, faster. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, what about heel up? What does that feel like? Okay, what is that doing to my prep stroke? If I do that prep stroke, what does that do to that prep stroke? Right? And even when I like every day I sit down and play this, I just like muscle memory it. I just let it come out at first. I might not end up playing this heel up, because I know I can also execute it with heel down. I've done it a bunch of times before, so it might just be a little refining that. But either way, I'm happy to like go in there and figure out what's going on. What are the subtleties of all those things? How can I control the touch on that bass drum note, right? That's where the real progress is made, is just going down in there and extracting whatever you can from that in terms of technique, especially, for me. Now, I think that's the most fun way to work on technique too, for one, is like I'm not sitting here and doing exercises. And if you watch my whole practice session, you'd see me do some kind of exercisey things. I've been doing something like this. Right? I've been working that out. You'll see me do stuff like that. But it's more fun to like create an exercise out of music, out of things that I want to play, out of things I'm inspired by. I love Greg Hutchinson. And I love being able to play this solo. It makes me happy every time I play it. Right? So that's really what I'm practicing for, is to extract like the nuggets, the learnings, the things that are going to change my muscle memory. Because I guarantee you, even if I don't play that lick, that touch that I just learned and ingrained into my muscle memory and fed my brain with feedback and information, and I'm looking in the mirror and I'm looking down and I'm listening, that is going to show up in my playing. That is the true like win. If you can do that, if you can practice something where you go deep enough that that happens, it's going to permeate all of your playing. Now, I do want to say another thing about this solo, just because I love it so much, is that so many of these ideas, it's very similar to what's happening with me figuring out technique stuff here. So many of these ideas just come into my playing and they become so natural, right? Like something like this very first phrase, I love it. I play that all the time now. I play it all the time. I can't not play it because it's so, I just love it so much, and I've internalized it, I've listened to it, I've played it upside down and backwards, right? You know, like, it's just in there. And you heard me even play, which is another phrase from this solo. This stuff just starts to get into your playing, you know? And it's such a gift to like play a solo over and over again, and then you go on the bandstand and this stuff just starts to come out. It just starts to come out because it's your vocabulary, it's who you are, and you got it from your practice. Have fun.